It's time for fantasy.
Number 34 on the offense is on my fantasy team. So, touchdown.
Versus reality.
Break out the red panties. We're rich, baby.
With Levack and Goz on 104.5 The Team.
My favorite segment of the week, every Friday, 4 o'clock, fantasy versus reality. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you 3 plays in the world of football against the spread. My man Goz over here is going to give you 3 players that you can go toe-to-toe with in the world of fantasy. We got some great people dropping off toys right now at Death Wish Coffee. Harambe will show you where to go, guys. Thanks so much. What's your name? Matthew and Gary, thank you. We just had Mike through, too. It's awesome. People coming in here today. Toys for Toga. It is a very cool thing. They're going to get themselves some Death Wish coffee. That's reality. And reality is trailing to fantasy as of right now. I went 3-3 with Thanksgiving and Sunday.
4-2 for me. Thanks in large
son
part
of a biscuit.
to Case Keenum stepping up.
Oh, your boy
playing
Case
well,
Keenum.
put me back in the lead. The records right now, I'm 17-21-1. I get a tie because it was in a half a point of projection, so that one tie still keeps me a half game up on Levack, who sits at 17-22.
As you say, because I don't remember.
No, it's true. That's exactly what it is. I'm going to let you.
By this time last year, I had you beat.
Yeah.
So the fact that this is so close is both good for competitive nature and making me feel terrible.
Thank goodness these games are on Thursdays, or I'd be 0 for 1,000.
I know, I'd be rocking.
I'm going to let you go first this week for your picks.
All right, well, then I'm going to start with, we had John Swedish in here. He is one of the guys here at Death Wish Coffee. Die-hard Buffalo Bills fan. Him and his family, all Bills fans. They're probably going out this Sunday to watch the Bills host the Patriots. The Patriots have been world beaters recently again, got themselves back to where they belong, and for that reason I will tell you that, look, they should beat the Bills by the 9 points that the Bills are getting. But I don't think they're going to. I think at home the Bills play tough. I think they keep it close. I think this is one of those games where you're going to see kind of the rivalry rebuild. Not to the point where, McDermott and Belichick are going to hate each other forever, but you're going to see the Bills start to have that attitude that they need to have to go toe-to-toe with the Patriots. I'm taking the Bills +9 home dogs against the Patriots this Sunday.
Tom Brady has absolutely owned the Buffalo Bills in his career, more so than any other player against any other team in NFL history. Bills fans know that very well. But, Levack, if they keep this close, if they say what you do and keep it within 9, if they even win the game, are we talking about that as a potential franchise-turning victory if they can take down New England, that a new era's in town in Western New York?
That is something that McDermott and Bean will use to build the resumes that they have right now. So, I'm taking the Bills. Give me the Bills. Okay. I'm taking the 9 points. Bills +3 field goals against the filthy New England Patriots.
There is a lot of pressure on me this week in fantasy versus reality because this is the final week for fantasy football players. You know this. And in most leagues of the regular season, the decisions that you make this week can decide whether or not you're a playoff team, whether or not you get a bye week, whether or not you win the regular season championship. A lot of big decisions this week. Again, PPR scoring I'm talking here. PPR to beat the projections on ESPN. Quarterback position. This guy is projected to be a top 4 quarterback, and if you're wondering whether or not to start him in daily leagues, same thing. Quarterback, Carolina Panthers, Cam Newton. He plays the New Orleans Saints. This time, New Orleans and them battling for the NFC South. The last time they played, I get it, Carolina got their butts kicked. Cam Newton, 3 interceptions. 4 times he was sacked. But this time it's in a dome. Cam Newton, you give me 250 yards, a touchdown, an interception, and 30 yards rushing. That beats his 17.3 projected fantasy football points. For some reason, I've become the Cam Newton defender on the show. Oh, Cam Newton won an MVP before. Callers, did he really? Cam Newton got a team to the Super Bowl. But they lost. If that Carolina team had won, they would have been one of the great NFL teams of all time. There's no argument. They lost 1 game the entire season. No one ever wants to give Cam Newton credit. Cam Newton has a big game against New Orleans, 17.3. He beats that projection this week against the Saints.
There's guys who just make it easy to dislike them, and sadly, Cam Newton is one of those guys. Like, you either look at him as that bright face who everybody can enjoy and love, and he's fun, and he contributes to great teams and great offenses, and that's fun. But then you look at him as the guy who, kind of shuns a female for saying routes and stuff like that. He doesn't make smart decisions, but on the field, when he's on, there's few that are better. So I like the pick. I always think Cam Newton's a good choice because he can score with his arm or his legs. So, I'll go with you on that.
Okay.
Hey, you hear that? My dogs are barking. My home dogs. And then we're going to be at this game. What is your home dog, a poodle?
No.
What is wrong with you? Listen. We are going on the road. You, myself, the boss, we are getting in the vehicle. We're going to do a little bonding time. Either you kissed up so much that the boss felt like rewarding us, or I rebelled so much that he's going to take us out of town and leave us in a ditch somewhere. But one way or another, we're going to see the Jets play the Chiefs. And while we are there, the Jets are getting 3 points. And by getting 3 points, I feel like it's a great home dog to take. Give me the New York Jets, who are starting to play with a little bit of aggression. They're getting 3/4 of good football before they collapse in the fourth, and then you got the Chiefs, who aren't getting good football at all. Hey, what did we just go get a new toy? What's your name?
Nice.
Don Cunningham, thank you very much, man. Toys for Toga going on right here at Death Wish Coffee. Just be careful, the forklift's running around. They haven't let me try it yet, but if you hear it coming at you, it could be me, so be careful.
I like your picks for the Jets there. The Chiefs have been crushed by everybody we've talked about involving Kansas City. Fans, we're out live the other day. Our guy Carrington Harrison crushing the Chiefs.
From Kansas City.
He's from Kansas City. I like the pick there. The New York Jets put up a good effort this weekend. All right, I'm going to the running back position now. Joe Mixon, running back for the Cincinnati Bengals. Mixon had a huge game last week, over 100 yards rushing, over 50 yards receiving, and his projection this week is 12.3. Now, believe it or not, the Cincinnati Bengals, yes, the Bengals are still in playoff.
The Queen City.
5-6 right now for Cincinnati after that win over Denver last week. And Mixon could be the difference of whether or not Cincinnati gets to the playoffs. Here's what I need from Mixon to beat that projection. He's a great play at the running back position or the slot position on a fantasy football lineup if you're looking to get to the playoffs. 50 yards rushing, 3 catches, 43 yards. He beat all that last week, but he's projected lower than that this week. Now, I get it. Here's what people are going to say. Guys, the Pittsburgh Steelers have allowed the 11th fewest fantasy football points to running backs.
Who's going to
this
say
season.
that?
I get that. Nobody's going to say that.
I don't think maybe we're going to say that.
No one said the research like I have. But here's the thing. Even though that stat's out there, Cincinnati stinks. I know they're 5-6, but Pittsburgh's going to beat them up. They're going to throw the football in the second half. Mixon out of the backfield. Dalton will check him down. A big play in PPR leagues. Play Joe Mixon in your lineups this week.
All right, my friends. Now here's my third pick, and if you listen, you can still hear those barking. They're barking.
Woof, woof, woof. There's
I
more
guess
of them
that's
now.
I guess that's like a beagle or something. At least it's a little bigger than a chihuahua or a poodle. Look, my final home dog is a home bird. The Eagles are traveling to Seattle. They are going to take on the Seahawks. I know the Seahawks have a ton of injuries, and I know what you're thinking. How are you going to beat this powerful Eagles team with all those injuries? Even though Seattle should have been in the contention for the playoffs all season, they're still trying to hold on to that final wild card spot. I'll tell you how. It's a will game. Russell Wilson will the Seahawks to enough to stay within 6. Give me the Seahawks +6 hosting the Eagles this Sunday night.
Wow. Somewhere our guy Mitch from Warehouse Grill and Barbecue's got a big old smile on his face seeing his Seahawks play well there. So Seattle sitting in contention and Russell Wilson.
12th man's going to be big.
I'll tell you what, if he plays good in that game, I think we seriously got to start talking about Russell Wilson and MVP discussion for what that team looks like right now.
I think we should have been talking about that pretty much all season long. I mean, I did pick him before the year started.
Last one here is the wide receiver or tight end position. One of the two, got to play and see who beats their projection. I'm going off the board here a bit, but let's do it. Let's go wide receiver for the Cleveland Browns, Josh Gordon. I get it. Josh Gordon hasn't played a football game since 2014. Missed all of 2015, missed all of 2016. But this we can't argue. The Cleveland Browns stink. They're terrible. They are awful. They're just embarrassing. So that means this. The Chargers, I think, about 14-point favorites, 15-point favorites. There's a huge number for the LA Chargers this week against the Cleveland Browns. So if that's the case, Josh Gordon will do what he's done for years. Garbage time fantasy football points. Josh Gordon's projection this week is pretty low. It's only 9.9. So Josh Gordon, all he needs from me is 4 catches and 60 yards, and he beats his projection. I'll take Josh Gordon all day. I get he hasn't played in a long time. 17th most fantasy football points allowed to wide receivers is the Chargers. That's not bad at all. Josh Gordon, do it. He can give you some points, maybe more so than other wide receivers you've had in your lineup before, because the Browns stink and they got to throw the football.
I do love Josh Gordon. I love the idea of watching him play. I'm going to be paying attention to him anyway. So for that alone, he's a fun play for me. Cleveland's got to beat somebody sometime, right? They beat the Chargers last year. They're getting 13.5 points. That might be a reality play as well.
I hope they get beat by 40 and they just throw the ball every play to Josh Gordon so he beats the projection.
Make him throw the ball, run the ball, catch the ball,
yeah.
all that. Let's do a recap for reality. My 3 plays for you, all home dogs, man. All home teams getting points, and it's going to start with the Buffalo Bills +9 against their rivals, the Patriots. Then we're going to the Jets. They're hosting the Chiefs. Chiefs coming cross-country to play the Jets. Thank you, Don. Thank you for everybody who's bringing toys today. Toys for Toga here at Death Wish Coffee. Jets +3 against the Chiefs, and then finally the Seahawks +6 at home against the Eagles. Eagles are the best team in football, probably, but I'll take those 6 points in who should have been the best team in football.
We're talking about beating. We both had the Seahawks in the preseason Super Bowl caliber team. We're talking about beating PPR projected points on ESPN.com leagues. Quarterback Cam Newton, look for a shootout against the Saints this week. Play him. He's going to have a huge game for you in weekly leagues and going for playoff teams. Running back Joe Mixon for the Cincinnati Bengals. Huge game last week. He's going to beat that projection of 12.3 this week. And rounding things out, wide receiver for the Cleveland Browns, Josh Gordon. A low projection of 9.9, 4 catches, 60 yards. Hasn't played in 2.5 years. But if you got a flex spot open, Gordon's worth the boomer bust mentality to maybe get you over the top and into the playoffs next week.
That is fantasy versus reality for this week. Hopefully I mopped the floor with you guys because, I just like beating you up and making fun of you.
3-0, I can feel it. I can taste it.
For me? Thank you very much.
For me.
Speaking of taste it, you can taste some free Death Wish coffee. Bring a toy right here to the headquarters, Wood Road in Round Lake.